So next, we've got Nick Clark representing Federated Farmers. And Hamish Crawl, welcome back. And a number of other people. All right, so Nick, you've got 5 minutes for this submission.
Thank you, Andrew. I'd like to give Hamish the floor, being our locally based, one of our locally based Banks Peninsula farmers, and he can certainly speak most compellingly on the submission and his own personal experiences as to how this could affect his business and his community. Thank you.
My name is Hamish Craw and I'm here today with Nick Clark, Federated Farmers Policy Manager and fellow Banks Peninsula farmers submitting on the Christchurch climate change strategy. In the draft strategy, agriculture is stated as the third contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in the Christchurch city at 15.3%. The report states that 45% of total agriculture emissions come from 51,000 dairy cattle. This raised alarm bells as being grossly overstated. Statistics New Zealand identifies 76 dairy farms in Christchurch City, of which 12 are on Banks Peninsula. The majority of the remaining 66 farms are located in Russley, Hornby, Riccarton and Central City. I'm pretty sure I didn't see any cows in Hagley Park when I drove past. This highly inflated number of dairy cows being reported is dramatically overstating agriculture's contribution to greenhouse gas emissions by close to 50% within the Christchurch City Council. The Council has set very ambitious emissions targets. These targets are significantly more than those in the Zero Carbon Act passed in 2019. We are deeply concerned about what these targets would mean for the economy and rural communities. We strongly believe the Council's targets should be consistent with those in the national legislation. We welcome the Council taking a split gas approach. Methane, which makes up the majority of agriculture's emissions, short-lived but very potent gas. But if methane is reduced by a large amount, it has the same effect as cooling. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment in the report last year suggested a reduction of between 10 to 22% by 2050 would mean that methane would not be contributing additional warming. The proposed 25% reduction by 2030 and 50% reduction by 2045 is therefore asking methane to cool the planet. We want to ensure the Council is aware of He Waka Eka Noa Primary Sector Climate Action Partnership. In October 2019, the Government agreed to work with the farmers and growers to reduce emissions. This work involves designing farm carbon measurement tools, practical and cost-effective systems in reducing emissions at farm level and farm level pricing mechanisms. We would not like to see duplication of this work already being done by the Council, and the Council should align any on-farm targets to those developed and implemented by the primary industry at national level. We have real concern over land use change to achieve offsetting. Policies which drive reductions to the size which the Christchurch City Council is proposing will inevitably result in reduced agricultural production, and there is a real concern within the Banks Peninsula community that low intensity efficient sheep and beef farming will be replaced by blanket conversions to exotic plantation forestry to meet offsetting targets. New Zealand of the Year, Dane and Salmond wrote, "The ETS will make it more profitable to plant pine trees than grow food or native forests in many parts of New Zealand. If pine forests are planted and left as carbon sinks, there will be no work for anyone, schools close and communities die. Without food, there is no life. The trick is to produce it in ways that also yield rich soils, thriving forests, healthy waterways and flourishing communities. The farmers are right. At present, the incentives in the ETS are perverse and they are taking us in the wrong direction. It needs to be fixed before it's too late. In the draft strategy under Programme 10, the Council pledges, in its own words, we will support sustainable food production to improve people's health and well-being while restoring the natural environment. Councillors, you have this right on your doorstep on Banks Peninsula. The majority of agriculture in the Christchurch City Council is sheep and beef on Banks Peninsula. These farms produce some of New Zealand's highest quality grass-fed red meat and wool under world-leading quality assurance programs. Auckland University of Technology report estimates that woody vegetation on New Zealand sheep and beef farms is offsetting 90% of their emissions. Greenhouse gas emissions from sheep and beef farms have decreased by 30% in absolute terms since 1990. An ECN document published in 2010 states approximately 15% of Banks Peninsula is now covered in regenerating forest, up from 2% post-deforestation by Maori and early settlers. My final comment relates to Goal 4. We are guardians of a natural environment. When I look around my community, I see inspirational examples of fellow farmers who are living and breathing this goal on a daily basis. We believe that a significant culture change is necessary to improve engagement with rural communities. As I've highlighted earlier today and in our long-term plan submission, there is serious misinformation being used and inappropriate policy setting for a lack of engagement.
So I'm going to need to draw this to a close. Unfortunately, we're beyond the 5 minutes. Due to a lack of
engagement up front with rural communities. Today's 5-minute allocation to speak is an insult to the knowledge that sits within our rural communities to help address these long-term challenges. Thank you.
And thank you for bringing that message to us today. It's appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you.